Einar steeled himself, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. He knew what he had to do, knew the odds were impossible. Yet he pushed forward. In his hand, he clutched a simple, rusted spear, a fray-looking thing against the unimaginable horror he was about to face. He followed the creature's trail, a path of desolation carved along the rugged coastline. The air grew colder, heavier with the stench of decay and dread. With every step, the signs of the Nuckelavee passage grew more pronounced, more terrifying. He saw the lifeless bodies of seals, their eyes wide with a terror that death couldn't erase, strewn across the black sand like broken dolls. Piles of kelp, usually so vibrant and full of life, were now black, rotting mess, releasing a foul, sickly sweet smell that churned his stomach. And then there were the burnt patches of earth, scorched black and sterile, where the very breath of the Nuckelavee had touched the ground, poisoning it. The world around him seemed to be dying, succumbing to the creature's malevolent presence. Night fell with an unnatural speed, swallowing the last vestiges of twilight. One moment, the sky was a bruised purple. The next, it was an inky, starless abyss. The sudden darkness was disorienting, suffocating. And in that profound, unnerving silence, Einar heard it, a sound that would haunt his dreams for whatever time he had left. A wet, dragging, rhythmic thud. The sound of something heavy, something unnatural, moving with a purpose that was both relentless and grotesque. He turned slowly, his muscles screaming in protest, every instinct telling him to run, to flee, to never look back. But he couldn't. He had to face it, and there it was. The Nuckelavee. It stood silhouetted against the faint glimmer of the distant sea, a nightmarish fusion of man and horse, a grotesque mockery of life itself. Its single, malevolent eye glowed with an infernal light, brighter and more intense than he remembered. It burned like a baleful star, a beacon of pure, unadulterated hatred. Its hot, foul breath hissed from its gaping maw, a sound like boiling tar, thick and suffocating. This time, there was no hesitation, no passive observation. The creature wasn't just watching anymore. It had found its prey. With a shriek that tore through the night, a sound that seemed to rip the very fabric of reality, it charged. Einar reacted on pure instinct, throwing himself to the side. He felt a searing wave of heat wash over him. The creature's flesh so hot it scorched the air as it passed. The ground trembled violently as the demon, its momentum unchecked, crashed into a towering outcrop of rocks. The impact sent a shower of stone fragments flying through the air like shrapnel. The sound was deafening, a cataclysmic roar of stone and fury. Scrambling to his feet, his mind racing, Einar saw his chance. He lunged forward, adrenaline surging through his veins, and thrust his spear with all his might, aiming for the creature's exposed flank. But the moment the metal tip made contact with its skin, a horrifying thing happened. The spear didn't just fail to penetrate. It melted. The rusted iron dissolved into a molten slag, dripping harmlessly onto the sand, consumed by the demon's unnatural heat. The weapon, his only defense, was gone. The Nuckelavee let out a deafening roar of rage and pain, a sound that shook the very foundations of the beach, echoing out across the dark water. The sheer force of the sound waved through Einar backward, and he landed hard on the unforgiving sand. It was in that moment, lying there, disarmed and helpless, that the chilling, absolute truth crashed down upon him. No weapon forged by man could ever harm this monster. It was a force of nature, a primordial evil beyond the reach of mortal steel. Despair threatened to swallow him whole. But then, a flicker of an old tale, a fragment of a forgotten legend, sparked in his mind. The stories of the old ones, the whispers of the sea. There was another power, an ancient entity that had once before driven the Nuckelavee back into the depths. A guardian. He had to find it. He had to find the Sea Guardian, the only force in the world that had ever defeated the Nuckelavee. His own survival, and the survival of his people, now depended on a myth. Scrambling to his feet, ignoring the searing pain in his side, Einar turned his back on the monster and ran, not in retreat. Baton, Anu, desperate quest, his only hope lying somewhere in the churning, dark waves of the cold sea. The Nuckelavee's furious screams chased him through the darkness, a promise of the horrors that would follow if he failed.